everybody, and welcome to Engine Broken, a Warpath Universe podcast. Focus on Epic Warpath. I'm Drek, and tonight I'm joined by Josh.
Yo, yo, yo.
And Jordan.
Hey, hey.
Don and Kirill are taking the night off because they didn't play any games this past month, but we played a lot. Josh, Jordan, and I each had games going on last Friday evening, and then Saturday, Jordan and I traveled down to the city of Columbus to engage in a 1,000-point 3-round tournament at Dragon's Lair. So tonight, we're going to have a long chat about the games we played, the factions we put on the table, our thoughts about them, and rules discussions, general tactical BS that these podcasts are supposed to be about. So, let's roll into it. Josh, do you want to start off, or do you want to save yourself for last? Or
No, I can go. So I just want to start off saying how jealous I am of you guys, because was that the first Epic Warpath tournament?
That is the first Epic Warpath tournament I know of.
I can't think of it. So you guys got to participate in the very first tournament, at least even locally here, but maybe around the world. Did you guys get put on that ranking where the results submitted?
I do not believe Sam used the app for running the tournament. It wasn't a traditional tournament, but we'll get to that when we cover it. We'll break down how it was structured and how he ran it.
Okay. Oh, sorry for jumping the gun on that. No,
You're fine.
I'm just saying that I'm super jealous I was not able to be there. But since our last recording, I've demoed the game for about three people, and I've been able to play the game a bit, and the takeaways have been really exciting. One of the people I demoed for started getting a enforcer army just on the table almost immediately. He's been having lots of fun painting. Somebody's doing GCPS locally now, and I don't know that the other person's committed to an army yet, but still. So my local player base is growing, but as Derek said, we had some gaming just last weekend, and my match was a 2,000-point game versus Forge Fathers versus the Enforcers. Each of us kind of went infantry heavy with like 5 to 6 troop units apiece. We had no super heavies. So it's kind of like the standard tanks, the whatchamacallums, the Stern Hammers versus the Panthers. We had APCs, a couple of flyer units here and there. But it was like a nice infantry slog. And the initial thoughts going into the game, when you just look at army lists like Forge Fathers, AP1 everywhere, up to AP3 on the tanks, and you're looking at it going, I'm just going to blow the enforcers out of the water. And that was the thought process for my opponent. He's been playing war games with me for 25 years through all sorts of different game systems. He looked at the army list, kind of looked at things. He's like, oh man, I'm hosed before the game even started. And, as dice and everything roll out, and playing your army on the table and seeing little nuances in how things work, like the enforcers go order, I think is what it's called, where they get to sprint and then still shoot.
Correct.
How it just enforcers have a much higher threat range than Forge Fathers. They shoot a lot more, so they might not necessarily be AP1, but the fact that you're throwing more dice and, that potentially can add up to a lot more deaths.
They can fix that AP1 issue with high velocity ammo, though, so.
Yes, yeah, but, just looking at unit profiles, you're like, yeah, enforcers are just subpar Forge Fathers. And he would make that joke every time, and sometimes it's like, yeah, okay, well, the Forge Fathers units does look better, but I'd say it was a very, very tight game, especially for him for his very first playthrough, like with a full scale army. We had really good time. No rules interactions felt bad. Everything went smoothly. Hardly had to look up rules. Um, but in the end, it came down to my opponent winning because on the very first game turn, I did not bum rush with my APC to take an objective. And so I lost by like 3 victory points. Sad times. But playing the game and getting to have the will I make my save or not clutch moments was really, really good. And I will say the Enforcers victors, my opponent was rolling really hot, and I think he only lost one the entire time. And I lost like all my pretty tanks. It was
Oh
a sad day.
no.
Yeah, two squads of Sternhammer went down. One to a unit of 2 victors, and then another between infantry shooting at them and the Panther tank shooting at them. Being armor 8 and heavy armor doesn't really mean you're going to survive. But yeah, it was a really, really good time, and that was my first 2,000 point game. So I was really happy to play it, see how it worked. Bikes are really, really useful things.
We all
I
agree
would
with that.
say the one big takeaway, especially for people who haven't like really been able to get in the games, is just accept that you're going to lose units. Like there's no saving the unit. You know, if somebody's looking at it, it's probably going to die. Uh, Um, but yeah, no, it was really, really solid. I've already got 2 more demo games lined up locally here, so looking forward to teaching a couple more people how to play. And then I've got to really broaden my net here because there's actually more players on the east side of Cleveland. I'm out of Cleveland, Ohio, that are playing, so I need to get over there. But I've been stuck up in Holland, Michigan, like every other week for the last month, and so I just have not had great playing opportunities. So looking
Damn,
forward to
Shivak, you need
changing.
Pathfinder at this rate.
But yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun, a lot of enjoyment with our new game system that we're all kind of huddling around.
So you played Forge Fathers, I'm assuming.
I played Forge Fathers in all of my demo games,
Okay.
just
So I
because I haven't
know,
got my son's name list on the table yet.
well, I know initially you were hardcore into Veerman and you had kind of decided that Forge Fathers might be the way you were going to go. Now that you've gotten a few games in with them, are you feeling that Forge Fathers was the right choice for you?
I think so. And I mean, and maybe we save some scuttlebutt talk for another episode, but like the more I look on Facebook and see like in the Epic Warpath community there, it's like feels like Veerman missed the mark. Every time I see somebody talking about Veerman, it's like they don't seem to be quite right, and I feel that. But yeah, Forge Fathers feel solid to me.
Well, awesome. So your friend started the Enforcer Army, the one you played, I assume?
Yes, yeah, he's been painting away. He's gotten I think everything assembled now. It was a printed army, but he's ripping through it, and yeah. So I know I'll always be able to get in games versus him. So I'll have to change up my Forge Fathers to a different faction just to add some variety of gameplay. But yeah, no, it's good.
Well, I mean, the printed army stuff is great. I mean, you saw the picture I shared today of the almost 6,000 points of enforcers I've got on the table, and half or more of that is printed. So, and you can't tell once it's painted up on the table together.
Well,
All the same.
so I printed out the correct scale Panthers for him accidentally, and
Accidentally.
so uh, I forgot that the original files they were like shrunk down by like 20%. So he's like looking at them. He's like, "Ooh, do I make you reprint these?" And I was like, "I mean, I can, but who's really gonna care?"
Oh, so he's got tiny panthers.
He's got tiny Panthers.
Yeah, I don't know that it makes a difference. I know somebody in the Columbus group had a similar issue with Forge Father tanks. They were putting together their resin or they're putting together their plastic ones. I think they had resin first, and they're like, "Oh shit, these are way bigger."
Yeah, I mean
But
he's going to leave them on the
The
What's
little
the
28 millimeter
millimeters?
base, or the
Yeah,
25 millimeter rounds. Yeah.
right, yeah. So I mean, they're just going to be on the 25 millimeter round, so whatever.
Yeah, I don't know that it makes any huge difference. Scale seems somewhat flexible inside the world of Epic. Like that Draken I was working on today. Like I was looking at the bridge of the Draken, and I'm like, I couldn't stand a guy in there. So it's not like it's true scale.
Right.
Oh, like it's just a tiny bit shorter, right? So it's technically a range disadvantage. But does it equal out because it's a range advantage for your opponent ranging into you because you're just a hair smaller?
Well, isn't if you have it on the base, you measure it at the base anyways?
I don't think so because that would give you some advantage with things like Chroma Force platforms overhang their base quite a bit. So I use the base just to make sure they sit level in so I can magnetize it into the case. But yeah, it's
I'll have to look
my
into that. I thought if it was on the base, you measure to that, but
because I don't think by rule vehicles require bases.
it's something to look up later. But yeah, I mean, overall, it doesn't really matter.
So you found that the rules were pretty quick and easy. You guys didn't have to look much up. No questions. No. Well, you don't know if you missed anything because you wouldn't know, right?
Oh yeah, we didn't look up anything. No, no. Like I said, I mean, we've been playing games together for like 25 years. So we if there's like a little bit of like a hesitation in like what are we going to do with this like rule, one of us will flip it over, look at it real quick, read it. Okay, yeah, it says this. All right, carry on. Like you just read the rule, you play the game. There's nothing vague about what it's asking you to do. So that's always good and made for a very simple gameplay. I think we got through our 2,000 points in hour 45.
Yeah,
So
I think 2 hours seems to be about the playtime for the game. Jordan and I only did 1,000 points, but we did that battle. We did a battle report the same time you were playing your game, 1,000 points, and from start to finish, from the time we clicked record to the time we stopped the recording, it was just under 2 hours. And we did do some rule looking up and some hemming and hawing. And by the time I removed all Jordan's slow play tactics, I mean I shaved off probably 45 minutes of the file or the raw footage. So
he is well known for that.
he's sitting in silence, saying nothing.
He doesn't want. He doesn't even want to acknowledge it.
You're not worthy of my response.
You were just as slow as I in that game.
I have video proof that that's not true. Jordan and I did Enforcers versus Marauders Friday night. We did look up a couple of rules. We had to look up assaults and how to resolve that properly. And because we did do the battle report, we did get some comments back. There's I shot the bejesus out of his bike squad, and I had completely forgotten if you suffer more than half your wounds in a shooting action, you are pinned. And I
Yes.
eliminated like five of his. Or I eliminated 4 of his 5 remaining bases, and I did not give him a pin marker, which well, it would have been relevant in so much that it would have gotten shot before it got a chance to shoot again, but it didn't impact. I still lost that game mainly
Well,
because
can we talk about pin markers real quick?
we can
Because
talk about anything.
well, I just not to step on your battle report, but
No, go ahead.
so in our games we did take that into account because we read the rules and we played the game as it's supposed to be. But
Well, you're a few more games into the system than us, so
but that -1 or +1, whatever it is, when the pin marker hits you for like your ability to shoot is huge. And it
Yeah,
also, if you can't shake that at the end of the game turn, not being able to throw a unit on Overwatch does have really lasting effects.
yeah. Well, you can clear it off with a command point if you have any of those lying around.
Yeah, but most of the time we were empty going into the end of the turns. And
Yeah,
maybe that's
Jordan was
just poor
usually
strategy on us, but
Jordan was usually empty going into the turn because his command dice hated him, but his regular dice made up for it.
well, since that was my first real game and only second game, because I played the one time, sort of, kind of learning stuff with Josh, kind of proxying stuff on TTS with the early rules, right? Like
Back in beta, yeah.
I was stretching my legs. I had no clue.
Well, it worked out for you.
And I don't think I was even I was too concerned about using what I was doing with the units. I don't think I bothered spending my command dice hardly at all. Not that I have that many points to
We
spend
both
with.
kind of forgot about it. We were solid turn 3 before we're like, oh yeah, I can do a reroll or I can reroll
Mhm.
some damage or so. And then I had my infantry so far away from my victor that I wasn't spending a few points I had for the goes. But that in itself was a good lesson. Our game,
Yeah,
we jumped out. We both scored pretty quickly, and then Jordan did some shenanigans. At the end of round 1, I thought I had the lead, and then it ended up that we were tied. And then I got locked into assault with Jordan, and that was kind of over after that because my army was all shoot and no punch. So he got some brawlers up on me, he got some ripper mechs on me, and it was just brutal. It didn't help that my victors were shooting at his stuff, but then even with AP2, it was just like missing completely.
I was going to say, I think it was as much the dice as it was anything else. So,
Oh man, I tell you, I need apparently I need new dice. I 3D printed some scatter dice today. I've never printed dice before, so we'll see how those hold up.
Jordan and I were just talking about that before the recording about like, is it beneficial to 3D print your dice, or should you just buy them from Mantic there and have the nice pretty dice, because you're going to have to paint them, give them that kind of
Well,
glossy coat finish.
I can't purchase just a scatter die from Mantic, and with the demo table for Adepticon, I'm going to need at least 6. So I'm not going to buy 6 packs of command dice because I already have enough command dice to probably supply the tournament. so so I was like, you know what? I'll print a set. I did it in black resin, and I'm just going to take white ink and drip it into the holes to let it fill in, and then I'll give it a varnish, and we'll see how it holds up. I mean, if it gets through the demo day, then great, and if it doesn't, then that's a lesson learned.
I'm excited to see the results.
Once I get them, once they're cured, they're on my table behind me. Once I get some done, I'll snap some pics and share them over. So yeah, so Jordan and I played that game. I mean, it was a good time. It was nice to be able to play a game, even looking up rules in 2 hours. And it was nice to actually get a battle report put together. I hadn't shot a battle report since our version 2 drop zone day, like 2 or 3 years ago. So it's been a few since I shot anything, especially since I had to edit it. And I even learned some lessons there, taking the whole I just hit record and let it go, and dragging that
Oh yeah,
whole
that was that
file.
was your that was your first like real battle report that you were doing with cameras and stuff, right?
Yeah. I used OBS to set everything up, and I had a digital scoreboard running and 3 cameras set up. I have since altered it again. I acquired a second camera identical to my first main camera, so I'm just going to run 2 cameras from opposite ends of the table. I bought actual mounts for the cameras and lights, so everything's secure mounted and out of the way. So it'll actually be really nice to set everything up and just play. The lesson learned there is that I'm going to stop the recording after each round and then restart it, just so that I have several smaller files for editing sake. When I tossed it into the editor, it crashed on me a half dozen times until I got about 20 or 30 minutes of footage edited out of it, and then it was finally smooth sailing. Because I pulled the audio track out of the video so that I could run a noise reduction on it and up the volume on it so that we could be heard a little better. And then mistakenly added some background music in the final production of it, which I thought was going to be low enough, but I find to be too loud in the post.
Mm.
But as far as my videos go, it's doing pretty well. It's got a couple hundred views on it already.
Nice.
The subscriber count has ticked up by about 20 people, so that's all winning. But yeah, so after that battle report, and you can watch that on my Gamer Drek channel. Please do. Please like and subscribe, because what am I here for if not to whore myself out? But yeah, so Jordan, did you have any final thoughts on that Friday game other than you doubled me up and curb stomped me?
so kill wise, like I don't think I shot out way too far ahead. It's just the amount of turns we agreed to. Like we just got to a point where what I was holding and what you knew you couldn't take.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like I tabled you or anything. I just
No, we got to the end of turn 4, and I had my Victor command, my 2 Victors, and a squad of operatives that were pretty much full healthy left. But I mean, that was half my army was gone. My jet bikes gone, my other operative squad, and my peacekeeper defenders had all died.
Did you have any of the was it orbital deployment or well, you didn't have subterranean deployment?
No, I didn't. I think the only thing in the enforcer list with orbital deployment is the Draken, and I just finished painting that today. I haven't played it, and honestly, it's not that I don't want to play it, but if I'm going to run a super heavy list, I honest to God think it'll be a Maven because of the point reduction to go, go, go. It only costs 1 point if the infantry is within 16 inches, and I believe it adds a green die, command die. So I could seriously see myself running double companies and maybe having one company be a peacekeeper commander and throwing some peacekeepers into an accuser squadron to race them up board and let the Maven just kind of drive everybody else up board under the withering fire of multiple burst lasers.
So one of the things that we noticed at 2,000 points and playing on a 6x4 table,
Mhm.
you almost want at 2,000 points 3 companies so that your commanders are able to give off those orders. Now, I know enforcers are different where they can have you have +1 to the order requirement for
Yeah.
the elite training or whatever.
Yeah, advanced training, and that's a carryover from firefight. They have that on they have that on every unit in firefight. It means you don't have to have your commander nearby to use command orders.
Well, my stunties don't have that, and I'm sitting there going, "Well, shit, there's nothing in range from that commander." So,
Yeah, and it's cool that it's there, but like go 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 is a fantastic order, but it's 2 points. So if you're not in command radius, that's three points to throw that on a squad, and that is costly. And the flip side of that then is if you bring a Maven, it's only 1 point to use it, as long as you're within 16 inches of the Maven. And on a 4x4 table, I mean that's 32 inches in either direction from this from that thing, so it can cover a good chunk of the table.
without a doubt.
Say again.
Oh, I was just saying, without a doubt.
Yeah. So Saturday morning, we got up bright and early. We hopped in the car and we headed down to Columbus. Gentleman, I can't remember his last name, Sam, ran he called it the Faction Frenzy. I think there were 5 or 6 people that brought one or more army. There were 1,000-point lists, and there were some restrictions for them. It was one command unit and then no more than 4 other unit profiles in the 1,000-point list. The idea was to keep it as simple as possible because there's a lot of people who were curious about the game but had yet to see it. So he wanted a variety of armies available, and then he wanted them to be simplified enough that new players could get it and not be overwhelmed by the sheets. So how it was structured was you just went into your round, and he had a list of you could request what factions you wanted to try. So you could pick any army you wanted, or there was I don't have a preference. So like I was like, well, I want to play Enforcers, I want to play Asterians, and then I don't care. Was my list. So I ended up getting Asterians round 1, Enforcers round 2, and Nameless round 3. Jordan, who did you get?
I got Nameless round 1, Enforcers round 2, and Orcs round 3.
So then we went through it. Was a standard tournament in that way, but everybody was just playing a different army every round, which was really cool because it was nice to actually put a different army on the table than I was normally going to and try to figure it out. But it was also a little overwhelming because you're like, okay, what does every unit do? What does every special order do? How does each army function? Do I even know how to actually play this game?
That was part of the beauty of it, though, too, because like you got a feel for the flavor of each army, right? Like because each had
Agreed. It definitely made me excited to start working on my Asterians. Getting to play the Asterians round 1. Jordan, do you wanna go through your 3 games?
Yeah, I'm sure just because there's so much to learn and so many new stats, I'm sure all of us there, but even looking back, that I'm sure there was stat misinterpretations, and you look cross your eyes one place or another. But when you're talking about Asterians, I'm not looking forward to shooting with a bunch of Chroma Force platforms.
Yeah, those were nice.
I did win all of my games, but I don't think outside the very last game was the only one I had more kill points. Since it was an objective game, I had skyscrapers in the orc list. Like maybe I lucked out of what list I had versus what list the opponents had. Because or maybe I was a little more gung ho and I just raced up to the middle of the board and kind of jumped out to early leads. I can't say that any game the dice really I felt like I was winning. Definitely felt less and less lost as the day went on. I feel like everyone I played against had fun. I had fun. Felt like I learned a little bit of meta for 1,000 point games, but I don't know how long term relative is going to be because the lists were very restricted, right? They were all
Yeah,
starter box armies. Like, okay, everything you played with, you can get in the box.
Oh, that was not the case. Like I had a Narsa in my Asterion list, and the Asterions I brought had Spectres and a Narsa in them. So I mean, there were other units in there, but it was the restriction was no super heavy, one commander, and then no more than 4 other data sets. So you could only run like 2 infantry types and a specialist and a support. So it kind of restricted some of the stuff out like that. Because I mean, 1,000 points, I was like, oh, I want to bring some operatives, I want to bring some anti-tank, I want to bring some jet bikes, maybe some peacekeepers, throw in a panther or a punisher, But like I understand the reason for the restriction. It did make a couple of lists seem weird, but the point was to get it on the table and play it, not necessarily like build something narrative.
And did you guys say how many players were at this event?
16.
16, yeah.
That is really respectable.
Yeah, well, I mean that's more than Firefight had at Adepticon and MGT, and that was just a local shop tournament. So I mean that's a really strong showing, I think. Jordan, do you want to go into more detail on your games, or have you forgotten them already?
Like in full sequence, I'm sure I've forgotten, a lot of the minutia. I know pretty much every list, if they don't have a heavy presence of AP on most of the units, has an order that gives it to you. And I was not doing that much my first couple of games. But with it, I definitely think I brought some assumptions from firefight rules in my head into the system. Like I was a lot more afraid of heavy armor than I should have been. Because any AP in Epic gets rid of the heavy armor effect. Doesn't necessarily get rid of the high armor amount. I definitely was throwing a lot of fire against opponents' tanks, and when you only need to do 1 damage and you're shooting at it with like 8 things, um, and not hitting for 2 or 3 turns in a row. Well, not necessarily not hitting, but very few hits, and then when you did get damage to go through,
Bounced off from a save.
he bounced off from a save. Yeah.
Yeah. Which in the other sense is kind of a credit to the game because for 1 hit in that base dice kind of thing, it's nice to see that some stuff does have some survivability.
Yeah. Well, and it's balanced out. You can't think of 1 base in it or 1 hit and it dies because you're bringing a squad, right? So,
Right.
and in that effect, even though the firepower goes down, right, but the group is still there. Your Wolverine group has 3 hit points, or your Chroma Force platform has 2 hit points. But between the armor and the saves, the Chroma Force platform probably is to kill 2 of them is probably as hard as it is to kill 3 Wolverines.
It depends on what you're hitting with and whose dice are rolling what.
Well, yeah, it depends on who's shooting with what and what the AP is.
Of the 3 factions you played, what was your favorite?
Probably Marauders.
What was your surprise faction? What was you played Enforcers and Nameless of those 2? What were you like? I liked them more than I thought I would.
So I felt a bit lost with the Nameless, so it's kind of a biased comment, right? Like
Yeah.
I enjoyed each further game more and more because I felt more and more comfortable.
Killing me a little because I'm like, Nameless is maybe my backup faction.
Oh, well, you're not going to want to hear what I have to say about Nameless.
Well, all right, we'll get there, but you're playing them wrong.
Well, That's entirely likely. Um, I had Asterians round one, and I played Mace, who had GCPS. And that was a fun game, but like with the Asterians, I had like two squads of flamers, and like one of them was objective sitting, so it literally just sat the entire game. It never got into range of anything. Um, and I kind of ended up in a cluster in the middle of the map fighting them because there was a center objective we kind of had to fight over. And he had two squads of Ajax Striders. And once the Ajax Striders entered the chat, there wasn't much of a conversation left for what I had on the table to fight with them because his Wolverine tanks were long enough range that they were pinging my chromas, and then the Ajax were charging in. So it's like, in all, it's like, well, I'm gonna get overwhelmed right there. But it was cool seeing GCPS on the table. Round two, I got to play Felix. Well, Josh, you're not gonna know him. Jordan knew him. Felix Castro. We met him at Adepticon this past year. He played Firefight. He plays Kings. And I got to play him round two, and he played the exact same GCPS list, but I got to play Enforcers. And I handedly won that game. In some ways, felt bad about it, but it was the case of, oh well, I know what I'm doing with these guys. And I was giving Kyle crap for the list. It was one of Kyle's lists, and he had two squads of jet bikes in it. I'm like, who brings two squads of jet bikes? And they did all the work. It was corner deployments, and there were objectives on the opposite corners. And turn one, they sprinted straight up board and parked on the objectives. And then they just sat there with 12 dice sustained and mowed down anything that stepped in front of them coming near those objectives. And I pushed a squad of Pathfinders up the middle with a scout move on turn one. So I had three objectives across the board, and then there were two dynamics that were consistent flipping. And I parked my Victor on the one dynamic closest to me. And I mean, I just Felix was able to push across the bridge and gut my Pathfinders and finally take that center objective. But by the time he was able to get there, I had scored the outside objectives and the dynamic once or twice. It had gotten out of hand. So, and then those jet bikes, I mean, they just sat there throwing down fire. And I was like, okay, I'm a changed man about jet bikes. They did some serious work. Round three.
You heard it here first. Bring jet bikes.
Yeah. I really impressed by the way the jet bikes performed. Don't get them in the melee of Ripper mechs, I learned on Friday night, but
they did so well. You're going to paint black biker vests on all of them for the next game.
Are the 18 bases of jet bikes I have painted not good enough already? Round three, I believe I played. It was either Brian or Ryan. I can't remember if there was a B or not. But he had Forge Fathers and I had Nameless, and yeah, I felt very lost trying to find my way through the Nameless list. Coming off of both Asterians and Enforcers, the gunslinger range just felt incredibly short to me. The magma something, it's a big melee unit. I got that thing into a fight and it was worth it. Magnemite, that's what it is. Once that thing closed the melee, it tore some stuff up. It ripped an Iron Ancestor apart. So they were pretty cool. And then I had a Psychotroid as my commander, and some cool abilities there. I pushed him into a melee with some Steel Warriors, and Josh, I'm sure as you're aware, the Nameless special order is they give everyone a -1 nerve test.
Mm-hmm.
And then they've got a command order that if you win an assault, you can burn a command point and you can double the number of nerve tests required for losing an assault. So I got into assault with the Steel Warriors, won it by 2 or 3. I think I won it by 3. Yeah, I won it by 3, and there were 3 bases left. Threw out that command point and forced them to do 6 nerve tests and wiped the squad. So the Psychotroid just went in there and just ripped them asunder. And I was like, okay, that was cool. Like that is a synergy for that list, that getting up close and personal with them will be fun. And then I had 2 squads of their artillery crabs, which, I mean, if the artillery dice had been nicer to me, probably would have been devastating, but it's me and dice. So of the three that I got to play, obviously Enforcers were my favorite. They're my main. They're my babies. Um, and Asterians and Firefight are my second army. So those two felt close enough to how I was used to them playing in Firefight that I didn't feel lost playing them. Nameless are very new. And I was fighting Forge Fathers, which I always hate fighting Forge Fathers. So that entire experience was uncomfortable for me. But I didn't feel, at no point did I feel any of the armies that I played or faced were broken, which is nice. Because we've all played the game where it's like, okay, well, that army seems to be designed to sell kind of, mentality.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I may poo-poo on the Veermen in like how I feel like some of it's like subpar, but they've got strong units in some of their options, and they are definitely can be competitive. It's just I don't like how the army plays, so I'm
round
playing studies.
round one, I was a table over from Kyle. He had Asterians versus Veerman, and he got bullied. Round one, round two, he had some good shooting in, and then round three, it was Mutant Rat Fiends and Broodguard, and they just ripped him apart.
Oh yeah, Munich Ret Fiends might be like one of the scariest units in all of Epic Warpath.
Yeah, they are terrifying. Um, so I think there was only one Veerman army available. But it was very cool. It was very cool to be there and see. I mean, there's only 16 players, but I think there was like 22 armies available. So there were a lot of minis, sitting there painted that were ready to be played with, and a lot of stuff got on the table. So that was very cool to just be able to see that out in the open. We were only playing on 3x4s, which was a little weird. So things were a little tighter. Even on a 4x4, I feel like 1,000 points on a 4x4 didn't feel that spread out. I think 1,500 on a 4x4 really will be kind of your cap, especially it'll probably feel really comfortable if you bring like a super heavy. But I think you start creeping up to like 1,000 points. I think a 4x4 or 2,000 points. I think a 4x4 is going to be way too cramped.
Oh yeah,
So
no, it needs to be 6x4. Hey,
so
but
nice to
kudos
know.
to Sam for running the tournament and trying
Oh hell's yes.
to organize everybody bringing all those lists and the spare armies and so
Yeah.
I think everybody should be like good on you, Sam, and pat him on the back next time you see him.
Yeah, and we've all TO'd stuff, and we know what an absolute pain in the ass it can be to organize an event. And he was full on ready with tournament packs and score sheets, and had all this table set, and yeah, managed to arrange all those armies getting brought in, and had a really clean system. He had boxes ready for every army, so every army had its individual box, and then the list was named. So it'd be like, in my case, it was like Derek, Enforcers, and then like a number, right? Because I brought two Enforcer armies. So I was like Enforcer 4 and 5. So then when he was assigning the army, he would just say, hey, Josh, you're up and you've got Enforcer 5. And you'd just go over to the table and there'd be a box with a list on it. And you'd find the one that said Enforcer 5. You'd pick up your army and go to your table. So really, really well organized, cleanly run event. Wasn't I think we ended on time. I think we got a little behind going into round three because everyone kind of went to get food, and KFC was like right around the corner, and we all went there. And Jordan and I were literally in line at KFC for like 20 minutes. Like they had to hatch the chicken. I don't know what happened. Or no, that was between round one and two. We got a little behind from people grabbing some food. But even then, round two, that was the round I played in Forces versus GCPS, and we were able to wrap in a pretty timely manner. So yeah, cleanly run event. Well done, Sam, if you're listening. Look forward to your April tournament. He did say there's going to be a tournament probably in April. It's going to be 2,000 points, and you're going to be required to bring a super heavy. So
Ooh.
get your drop fortress ready, Josh, or your magma destroyer, whichever you prefer.
Ooh, I don't know that I like my super heavies, but okay, I can bring one.
I mean, you have to bring one. You still got, what, 1,600 other points to use for stuff.
Yeah, I mean, off the top of my head, I'd probably do the Drop Fortress just because being able to score on your opponent's side of the table in some of the missions is key. And, it's a big old thing you got to deal with.
Maybe you'll have moved on to the Nameless by then. Maybe you'll like
I
this.
mean, oof, ooh, yeah, you might get me on the next podcast talking Nameless, but I got to get them painted. But no,
I got to
I
get you a
mean,
box.
yeah, I guess got to get that from you. But no, I think obviously a super heavy um, probably won't be that difficult to deal with an asterisk. Uh, but we'll find out. Maybe I should do that for my next game. Play with the super heavy.
I am hard pressed to decide which super heavy I would run with the enforcers. I like the Maven for the obvious fact that that reduced go is fantastic for pushing your infantry up the board. But the flip side of the Drek and having the orbital deployment, and then the 2 squads of infantry it can carry getting a +1 on their assault out of it is pretty devastating.
Ooh, okay,
Yeah,
I didn't notice that because for the most part, there's not a lot of ways to get that +1
no,
little combat action token. I was like, well, I know Veermen can do it, and that's one way. Veermen just are ballers when they get to assault. But okay, so that's good to know. Enforcers can get a +1 in there as well.
yeah, it's it's really tempting to just be like, all right, I'm going to take that and cram 2 squads of assault enforcers in it, and then at some point I'm going to fall behind you. And the orbital deployment's limited to a 3-inch scatter, so it's really easy to position yourself in such a way that you're not going to, wreck the ship, and then charge out at, I think 9 inches into whatever you're assaulting. It's like, all right, well, now I'm going to throw 12 dice with a +1 and AP1. Yeah, I'll come stab your tanks to death.
Well, speaking of +1s, remember if you charge an APC with infantry, it's a +1.
So if I assault your APCs out of my Draken, I get +2.
Yeah, just put 2 of those activation or combat action tokens there.
I mean, I would still find a way to not kill them. I'm just
Oh, you know what? Here's a great question. How did everybody feel with the tokens for being able to place them? Because after my 2,000 point game, I was like, you know what? I might 3D print out somebody selling like one of those spin dial things for activation tokens, and I was
seen
like,
that in
I
the
might,
epic group.
I,
Someone designed
I
those.
might, I might purchase it. It's like $3 or something like that. But um, I think I might go that route because having to go to a pile of your tokens and be like, all right, I'm going to get the sprint. Okay, this guy gets an Overwatch. And it doesn't really like hide what you're doing because you normally sort your stuff into a pile. So if your opponent just glanced at you, they're like, oh, he's grabbing from the Overwatch pile.
I have
But
a token silo, so all my stuff is neatly organized. I haven't found it to be detrimental. I mean, in most cases, when you're playing, you can kind of guess what they're going to do anyways. Like,
right,
oh,
yeah.
Gordo's brawlers are 10 inches or 6 inches from me. What's he going to do? He's going to charge. He's not going to shoot me.
Well, yeah, if you have, especially if it's a melee unit that doesn't have guns, you're never going to do anything but charge.
Right.
All your commanders, you don't have a choice; they automatically get 2 specific ones. So,
Oh, those
um,
Kalishi are not charging? I'm shocked.
I thought, you have a few games under your belt, like learning the system. I thought the breakup of movement and shooting and adding tokens in it was like, okay, this is going to slow the game way down. And in many ways, because it takes out, I don't know, the pre-measuring and the analysis paralysis, like you can since you're kind of planning your moves and you commit to certain things, and then when it comes to move, even though it's alternating, you're a little more shoehorned. There's less to obsess over, right? Of like, oh, he moved this here, here, here. So am I going to move this or going to switch my order here on every single unit, right? You're a little more fully committed in it.
Hey, cunning's a
Adding extra
rule, and it's
tokens actually
law.
sped up the game to me.
I was about to say it leaves some fun play for the cunning rule in there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, cunning can be pretty good on your commanders who do have it. And I'm just saying from a like ease of play standpoint, I'd much rather have one token that I keep by a unit that I could just flip over that I do a spin dial to, and instead of like going back to my token drawer and be like, this is the sprint, this is the advance, and going through. That's all I'm saying with wanting to 3D print out some token spin wheels. But
Yeah. And of course, like with your commander, you can do that token spin wheel and just like I put the sprint on it until he's done sprinting, then I change it to an Overwatch. And
right,
I mean, I don't have a problem with it. My concern, like Jordan said, when I initially looked at the rules of the game, I thought the sheer amount of tokens was going to be a slowdown that I was not excited about. But having played a few games now, I really like the token system. I don't find that it slowed me down. I think as from a player perspective, if you're slightly organized or have some type of organizer or tray to keep your stuff sorted, it's a big help, but it's not even necessary there. In the case of the tournament, there was a pile of tokens on each side of the table, and you just kind of sorted through what you needed as you needed. But
it helps keep you from keeping on thinking of like, what was I going to do with that unit again?
yeah,
You know,
now then it leads to the why did I give that guy a sprint? I really needed to give him an Overwatch.
but that goes back to cunning.
If you got it.
If you've got it.
Well, I think it's
I
awesome that
didn't
we were
have
all. I think it was awesome that we were all able to get a handful of games in between the last two recordings here, so we actually had some game stuff to break down and talk about. In that time, though, what do you guys have on the hobby desk?
Well, so I've been still working on my epic warpath scale terrain. I've been making lots of area terrain pieces. I need to like focus on more little scatter type pieces of just random, I don't know, small little things to put on the table. But I'm hoping to have it all assembled here shortly, and maybe do some quick airbrushing to get some color on it, and maybe in the next 2 to 3 weeks, have somebody over and I'll do a video battle report. But it's going to be more of a stream of conscious where I hit record, hit stop, and just hit upload. I'm not going to do any of this fancy editing that you're doing.
Yes, my editing was extremely fancy. Jordan, how about you? You got anything on the hobby table? Have you started on those Marauders now?
no, I haven't. I need to unbury my hobby table.
Dude, do I need to come over and paint your armies again?
Maybe.
I too knocked out a bunch of terrain, which you see in the battle report. I got the big crash spaceship painted. I've got a bunch of craters done. I've got a ton more terrain to do. I picked up some small container boxes so I can sort the terrain and put those into a tote. So hopefully Adepticon will be easier. I also need to get in touch with Rick or Blake to see what we're looking at size wise for Epic, because if we got 16 just in Columbus, I'm curious if we'll be able to fill out whatever the initial planned number is for Adepticon. And then I'm gonna have to find mats and terrain and stuff galore to make sure we can run it. But aside from that, my enforcers are air quote done. 5,775 points of enforcers fully painted and ready to go on a table.
They look wonderful.
Well, thank you. I told you I hated painting that Draken today. I think it's a cool model, but it's just a brick. There's just so much open space. I'm like, I don't know what to do with this, and I'm painted it white like an idiot. So, but I'm really happy with that. And within all of that stuff, I'll have everything that I need for the demo side of Epic for enforcers. And I printed off 20 bases worth of zombies already, and I've got a second batch going on the printer right now. So I'm starting in on what I need for Plague. I'm going to try to get them wrapped up in the next few weeks since I've got some free time, and then maybe some terrain. I've got a lot of buildings. I've got a lot of buildings built, and then I have 2 XL boxes worth of stuff to build and paint. So I will have a lot of terrain.
Yeah. I forgot I have that stuff from the Kickstarter, the actual terrain box that they sent me. I got to start assembling that.
Yeah, and I don't know what level of terrain density the game's really looking for. There's some suggestions in the book, but I mean, and part of that's just 'cause I like dense tables to begin with, so I'm gonna have to try to maybe break some of my tendencies and dial back the amount of terrain.
The
But
Yeah,
dumber the
it's
player, the
not,
better.
what was that,
it's
Jordan?
not a.
A dense table, the dumber the player, the better.
Yeah, I don't think you want to drop zone dense, 15 buildings on a map table,
Yeah.
but
Well, the problem is
I
I've got a lot of old drop zone mats that I was just going to repurpose for the Epic tournament. So I'm going to find out ways. I'm going to figure out ways to make those look usable without making them so ridiculously dense. Or I'm going to have to buy a
oh,
bunch of
screw
magic
you,
mats.
Jordan.
What did Jordan do?
He's taunting me in chat.
Oh,
It was a direct message. I didn't put it out in front of everyone. Plus the one I chose to print, there's actually a an error in it. There's two like spots where there's layers missing in the
I was gonna say that looks like
in
shit.
file. It was not supposed to print in three pieces. I'm surprised it actually finished printing because there was like 5 layers missing between each of those where it broke.
I'm leaving the screw you Jordan in there. I may clip it and move it to before the episode, but it's staying.
So I printed one of the building terrain pieces from the STLs from the Frontier on FDM vertically without chopping it in half, and it did fine other than the missing parts. I mean, it's not great, but it's pretty good, especially for being FDM.
And I had made a comment before the recording that, I wished Mantic had sliced the files so that there was a flat surface so that you could just print on an FDM without having to really think about anything when you go to print those city ruin tiles or whatever they're called. And
Yeah, I understand.
Gordo was like, "Yeah, well, I'll just print one, see how it happens." And he sent the message, and I said, "Screw you."
I did that with the road tiles, but I took them in my slicer and split them. So they're half thickness, but it has a flat side. But that worked out really well because I have gaff tape on hand that is the exact same width as those or as those tiles. So I'm able to lay the road out. I have 4-foot road sections laid out. So when I go to paint them, I'll just be able to roll them back up and then toss them out on the table. And I've got a table length road, so that'll be convenient. Especially for the demo game, I want to be able to hide the mat lines to make the tables look like one contiguous, 12-foot battlefield. So I'll just use the road sections to cover up those lines and then run a road through the street or run a street through the middle and do like the residential section around it. Should be pretty cool. I hope it's cool. Otherwise, Ronnie will
And
fire me.
you say this demo game. Where's this demo game being taken? Where can one do this at?
This will be at Adepticon.
And the signups are like less than a month away.
Yes, I think registration for Adepticon's opening like January 11th, which would be a month from the day we're recording this. And also,
Oh yeah, that is true.
tomorrow is my daughter Cecilia's 13th birthday.
They grew up so fast.
Oh God, did they? And my toddler will be 4 in January. 3 days before Adepticon registration. Everly will be 4.
So
Growing like
so
weeds.
for this, so for this, you're doing demos, and there's going to be a tournament.
I feel like you didn't listen to the Countercharge podcast where I went over all this with Rob. Yes. I'll repeat it here because it's necessary to repeat. Now, obviously, this is subject to change because I haven't seen the finished schedule, but my understanding as is Thursday, we will be doing a 1,500 point Epic Warpath tournament on a 4x4 table. That is 1,500 point valid list, which means you may bring super heavies if you so desire. Friday, I am running 3 instances of the containment of Adriana, which is the enforcer containment of the colony of Adriana from a plague outbreak. Read your lore. Listen to the Mantic Lore podcast. I don't know that there's plenty of ways to learn about this. But That will be a 12-foot table with 3 players on each side simultaneously playing out their engagements across a starport, a residential area, and like a wilderness area with a crashed ship in the middle of it. And the enforcers will be looking to ensure that nothing escapes the planet, and the plague will be looking to infest everything on the planet and hopefully get off to go infest other planets. So should be a good time. It's going to be somewhere between 1,000 and 1,200 point armies for each side so that they can kind of just learn to play the game. I'm keeping it restricted to stuff that's in the starter box. So if you haven't played and you come and you play it and you have a really good time, you can go nab yourself a 2-player starter box and have the exact same experience and more at home. So
Well, that sounds really exciting.
it does. And if you're a fan of the Pinned and Broken podcast, which if you've made it this far, one would hope that you are, you should be able to meet myself, Jordan, and Josh, and Donald, all at Adepticon
Others?
playing.
Oh, I was just saying others.
Oh, yes, the Swedish Giant will be there. The mythical Swedish Giant on a quest to win everything. I'll be running Epic for 2 days, and then Saturday I intend to play Firefight. I don't know what your guys' plans are, Josh. You're planning on the Epic tournament at least, right? And then you've got some.
Yeah,
pirate
I'll
stuff
be
to
at
do.
the. Yep. I'll be in Firelock Land the rest of the con experience, but I will definitely be there for the Epic Warpath tournament.
Jordan, what are you thinking about doing? You just gonna do Epic? You can do Epic and Firefight. You gonna do Epic Firefight?
Epic and Firefight. I do want to get into Kings eventually, right? But um,
You have
I
to have a
know,
painted army for that, Jordan.
yeah, and I'm going to be bet off enough getting my Epic stuff painted in time.
Ah, it's just so subtle and cruel all at once.
I have to say, Jordan could do it.
I gotta be honest. I've been cleaning and reorganizing in my dungeon here since I've not been working basically and getting the table set up so I can run stuff better. And I looked at my shelves and I just packed up all of my king stuff and just moved it into the back room because I needed that shelf space for Epic and Firefight. And I'm just like, sorry, Kings, you need more laser rifles.
Well, you know what? There's other podcasts for that.
There is. There's the Countercharge podcast. You can hear me there talking with Robert about Epic and Transformers and G.I. Joe.
But
I
now
learned a lot about Bob in that conversation. I feel like we're friends. I jokingly told him now that we need to start a Hasbro toy podcast together. Well,
Well, so yeah, if anybody has not heard of Adepticon, you should check it out. But if you're on the fence, you should go to Adepticon because Adepticon is the holy mecca of all wargaming. Not just here in the United States, but across the world. So, it's the best wargaming convention. So you should come and see Drek's tournament on Thursday night and participate. And
yeah,
his demos, but
you guys nagged me for a long time about you need to go to Adepticon, you need to go to Adepticon, and I never went. And then 2 years ago now, I think was my first Adepticon. And yeah,
yeah.
it's the one tournament or the one con I refuse to miss at this point. Like Origins is an hour from my house, and I was like, I don't even. I'll go if Mantic needs me to work the booth, but like, yeah, Adepticon is the one con I won't. I get into fights with my wife about going to Adepticon, and then maybe
That
MGT. That
means
was a
it's
good time this
the
year.
best con.
Yeah, yep. That's the one worth triggering aggro over. So yeah, definitely the best con of the year in my opinion. I would go to Adepticon 10 out of 10 times over Gen Con, Origins, um, any other US con I've ever visited.
Well, I guess that means we have to see about trying to host things at Las Vegas Open and go from there.
Flights to Vegas are cheap.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know that I'm going to Vegas. I'd be distracted by other things. Gambling.
Got a better shot at getting to Nova.
Do I? I don't know. Do I have a desire to go to Nova?
It's about the same size as LVO, maybe bigger. I don't know.
Listen, I build my year around looking forward to Adepticon, so I don't know that I need much more than that. There's not enough time in my day to get enough games in as it stands to be any good in those tournaments. So why do I need more? Give me Adepticon or give me death. All right, gentlemen, we're running long. You guys have any final thoughts? Jordan?
Ooh.
Chroma Force platforms need nerfed. Actually, I don't think
No,
they do, but I do think
you need to play better.
I think the weapon profile for Blast versus the other weapon is backwards.
Think Blast is broken?
No. The Blast profile having AP3 versus the standard fire having AP1 seems backwards.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
It's very conditional that you would ever not use the Blast just because of the mechanics of it.
Yeah, I could certainly agree with that. Josh, any final thoughts?
I'll just go with the universal order and blanking on its name off the top of your head. But when you go for rerolls, you can only reroll 2 of your dice in that action. So if you're rolling 6 dice, you can only reroll 2 of those.
What
for the
idiot
command
would
points.
ever think that you could do like 3 of those in one activation? That such a person would be an absolute moron. I tell you.
You know what? I will raise my hand because that's how I played it the first game, but went back, reread the rules, and it's like, oh, only 2. Now you can spend another command point to reroll like the armor penetration result,
Right,
but it's
right.
still only up to 2.
You reroll up to 2 dice on the attack and up to 2 dice on the damage. Yeah. I stood corrected.
That's my final thoughts.
Well, my final thought is build your tiny plastic soldiers, paint your tiny plastic soldiers, and play with your tiny plastic soldiers. Until next time, keep playing games. That's what I just said. What the hell?
Get epic.
Redo it.
Oh man, we need a better outro, guys. We gotta workshop that. All right, we're out of here. Thanks for joining us. Check us out on Facebook, like us, and leave a positive word of affirmation on whatever podcast thing you listen to us on. Check me out on YouTube. We've got some battle reports. Josh is going to have some battle reports. I'll make sure we can link everything to the Facebook page and wherever else. Until next time, keep playing games.
Screw you, Jordan.